Alright, for this video, we're again going to be talking about simplifying rational expressions, but this time we're going to be adding and subtracting specifically. Alright, so and adding and subtracting is usually everyone's least favorite, and that's because rational expressions are basically fractions, and when you add or subtract a fraction, you must get a common denominator. Okay, so that's something that we're going to have to watch out for and be careful of. So for our example, the instructions are still going to tell us to simplify. And our example is going to be 5n over 3n minus 1 minus 2n over n minus 6. So first we want to recognize what our common denominator is. So I can see that one denominator is 3n minus 1, the other denominator is n minus 6. So if possible with your denominators, you want to factor them just to see if any of the factors are common between the two or maybe the three different denominators you have. And in this case, we don't have any common factors. So I know that my common denominator here is going to be 3n minus 1 and n minus 6. So each of my fractions has to have that as its denominator before I can go any further. So that means that what I need to do is I need to take that first fraction, the 5n over 3n minus 1, and I need to multiply it by n minus 6 over n minus 6. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change what the fraction looks like, but since I'm multiplying it by 1, I'm not actually changing what it equals. So I'm changing what it looks like, but not what it equals. Alright, the other one was 2n over n minus 6, and again I need to have that common denominator. So this one I'm going to multiply by 3n minus 1 over 3n minus 1. Alright, so I have a little bit of work to do with these. I have 5n times n minus 6, so I'm going to go ahead and take that 5n and I'm going to distribute it. So 5n times n is going to be 5n squared. 5n times negative 6 is going to be negative 30n. And I'm going to go ahead and write that over 3n minus 1 and n minus 6. Alright, for the other fraction, I have 2n is being multiplied by 3n minus 1. So 2n times 3n is 6n squared. 2n times negative 1 is negative 2n. And then I also have that over 3n minus 1, n minus 6. Okay, so now the important thing is going to be that I can go ahead and write this as like one big fraction, and I have that common denominator. So from the first fraction, I have the 5n squared minus 30n, and then we have to be really careful about that second fraction because I have this negative right here, and that negative needs to be distributed. So I'm going to say minus 6n squared, and minus negative 2n would be plus 2n. So here I'm going to say minus 6n squared, and then minus negative 2n would be plus 2n. Okay, so I still have that denominator on the bottom. I don't need to mess with that at all. So 3n minus 1, And my purpose right now, all of this work that I'm doing, is to combine like terms on the top so that I can eventually see if anything on the top should simplify with anything on the bottom, or should cancel with anything. So I have a 5n squared and a negative 6n squared, and so that leaves me with negative 1n squared. And then I have a negative 30n and a positive 2n, and that leaves me with negative 28n. So if you can see ahead in the problem enough, then you'll know that nothing more can be done with this, and so we're kind of finished. But if you have a hard time seeing ahead, you can go ahead and factor that. So the numerator has a negative in each term, so we have a negative 1 as a GCF. You also have an n in each term, so I'm going to take that out. So that leaves me with n plus 28. And then we still have those factors on the bottom, and now it's fairly apparent that nothing is going to cancel. So when you finish with this problem, I would say both of these answers are good. You could have left it there, or you could use this as your answer, but both of them are valid.